In triangle ABC, AC is 18, AC is the short leg, and angle ACB is the right angle, and angle BAC is 58 degrees. Find the rest of the missing angle and sides. Let's draw that together. I don't know about you, but I like to do lots of check marks. So I make a task list and I put check marks, and it's so satisfying to put a little check mark. Angle ACB is the right angle. So let's just say I start up here. A. Your triangle might look different than mine, which is okay. You have to go in order ACB. And the reason why I went in that order, because it tells me it is the right angle. So I'm going to put a check mark. I have the right angle. Let's verify that. In triangle ABC, AC is 18 and AC is the short leg. Now that looks like the short leg in ours. Here's AC, that is 18. So check, check. Angle BAC. So I start at B, I go to A, and then I go to C. So the two rays form the vertex there. A is the middle letter, so essentially this is called angle A. That is 58 degrees. Find the rest of the missing angles and sides. And then I think I showed, I let you guys try to draw a picture just like I did, and then after a minute I showed you guys this picture. So this was X, Y, and Z. Now, today's lesson is to be able to find this angle using trig, but we don't need to use that. To solve for X, I can just use the triangle sum theorem. Triangle sum theorem. What is that? Blank plus blank plus blank equals 180 degrees. And then you can just fill it in. 58 box, which is how much? 90. 90, and then X. And then when you subtract, what is that? 148? What do you get? How much? Oh, and then you subtract it. What do you get? 32? Raise your hand if you got 32 degrees. So this one is 32 degrees. Okay, let's solve for Y. Okay, here's Y. And it's kind of confusing, so you can cover up Z. And put your finger on the starting point. Right there. So yesterday we learned to put a trig function here. You have an angle. And then you're going to be putting into this fraction sides, right? This is kind of like your sentence frame for trig functions. So from here, class, what side is this one? Opposite. And this one? Adjacent, because this one's the hypotenuse, right? So you have the hypotenuse, you have the opposite, you have the adjacent. I have SOHCAHTOA. Class, which one am I going to use? TOA. Opposite over the adjacent is TOA. That is which trig function? Tangent. So let's write tangent of that angle. Now, it is possible, yesterday we learned that you could have used 58 degrees, totally fine. I'm just using 32. And you'll recognize that although our problem looks slightly different, you're actually going to get the same answer. So opposite side over the adjacent. Then I have tangent of 32 equals 18 over Y. Partner A, tell partner B how do you solve for proportions. Class, you have to cross multiply. So that is, if you get stuck here, remember this is a parentheses, y times tangent of 32 degrees. And if you cross multiply here, that is what? 18. Class, how do you solve for y? Divide, because you see multiplication here. So I'm going to divide both sides by tangent of 32 degrees. Again, some students do crazy things like 18 divided by 32. Don't do that. So if it helps you, again, put those in parentheses. It's a couple. Don't break them apart. There's my calculator-ready equation. Y equals 18 over tan 32. Degree mode, degrees. Extra set of parentheses. Tangent of 32. Remember that you don't need the degree symbol. And y is, if we round to the nearest whole, it is what? 29. Raise your hand if you got that. Yes. Okay. So, y is 29. Now, tell your partner, what are some ways now we can solve for z? Raise your hand, SOHCAHTOA. Raise your hand, Pythagorean theorem. You can actually use both. Does that make sense? Think about this, guys. Now you have two sides of a right triangle. Then you can solve for the third side using Pythagorean theorem. Or, if I just cover this up, then I can do this one method. Now, I will tell you which one I prefer and why. Okay? I actually would prefer you use the trig function. Here's the reason why. Okay? Maybe you've done this before. You've seen someone do this, and you're like, ugh. See someone go to the bathroom. They come out of the bathroom. You know they didn't wash their hands. But it gets better. They go to the kitchen. And they start preparing food. This is not sanitary. You get everything else dirty. Okay? This is my analogy. Ready? What happens if your answer is wrong? And it is actually off a little bit, wasn't it? Because you rounded. Does that make sense? And let's just say you totally get the answer wrong. Then you're using a tainted answer into another part of your answer. Now you've affected something else. Does that make sense? So right here, I'm minimizing damage. You could use Pythagorean theorem, but I'm going to use another trig ratio. If I cover this up, I have, from 32 degrees, I have the opposite, and this one class is called the hypotenuse. You have O and H. Which one has O and H? Sine. So we're going to use sine of what degree? 32 degrees. Opposite over the hypotenuse. Class, which is the opposite side? 18. And the hypotenuse? H or Z. Put it over 1. Let's cross multiply. I got 18 equals Z times sine of 32. And then I'll divide both sides by sine of 32. There's my calculator-ready equation. Remember, you're trying to help me help you by giving you partial credit by just showing all your work, even on a calculator problem. 18 divided by... Now, remember, guys, we talked about using extra set of parentheses. Rounded to the nearest whole number, your answer is? 34. So Z is approximately 34. Okay? So, in review, make your picture big, mark it up with your clues. Okay? Label your triangle just like we did yesterday. Figure out which trig ratios you're going to use. You could have used Pythagorean theorem, but I recommend not to use it.